Hi Year 1 2, welcome back to our second week for our desert animals. So we're going to be looking at a different animal today and we're going to have a go at drawing them, and then if you want to take it a bit further and add a bit of colour, that would be great. Okay, so I'm going to share my screen with you and show you what we're going to be doing today. So here we are, Meerkat Mal, and the things you're going to need today are a pencil, a paper to draw on, and some colour. Okay, so I would recommend maybe an A4 sheet, so just a normal standard size piece of paper to draw on today. And today what we're going to be doing is the desert gecko. See that cheeky one? Now I'm going to show you and work through with you how to draw his body. So I want you to be able to draw the whole thing. If you want to after, you could come back to this slide and pause it and you could have a go at drawing his cheeky little face here, okay? Because it's all the same ideas. So we're going to use shapes and we're going to piece that together to do our drawing. So before we go into it, I'm just going to show you here. I want you to look at his body, okay? If you look at his body and look and see if you can find some different shapes. So when you look at his head here, I can kind of see an egg shape. It's a bit of an egg shape head here. And then his body, oh, well, I can definitely see an oval here. And what can you see here? What does that look like? To me, that looks like a S. Okay, so we're going to put all those shapes together and we're going to be able to draw and then colour our lovely little gecko. Okie dokie. So I'm going to show you my desk and we're going to have a go at drawing it together. So here we go. Here's my sheet of paper. And I've got here a HB pencil. So that's your ordinary drawing pencils, okay? You could use, if you've got a special set, so I've got a 2H, which is a little bit lighter for doing those first shapes and marks. And then if you want to have a go with pencils and shading rather than colours, you could get something like a 4B pencil if you've got those special artist pencils at home. Now, the first thing that we're going to do when we're thinking about our gecko is just look at the page and we need to figure out what kind of size we want our gecko to be. So I'm thinking I want an edge and I need to leave enough room for his tail. So what you could do is almost draw him out with your finger first. So you go down his head, along his body, and then down for his tail. So I'm thinking of starting about here, and then his tail will be about here, and then that will go all the way down to here. And then that way I know he's definitely going to fit on the page. So what you could do, just to start with, nice and light. Now I'm pressing harder so that you can see what I'm doing, okay? But nice and light, you could almost draw a line that shows you where your gecko is going to be going, okay? All right, so then that just gives us the overall shape. That's from his nose all the way to the end of his tail. Right, so the first shapes I'm going to draw are the egg shape. Do you remember that egg shape we looked at? So I'm going to just sketch it really lightly, okay? And I'm just going to get that lovely egg shape. The next shape, using this, imagining that's his spine, so the very back of him, I'm going to turn that into an oval. Now I'm pressing really lightly, okay? Because I don't want really dark, thick, heavy lines. And then his tail's not like that, is it? It's a bit wider than that. So I'm going to go from the back of the oval and I'm just going to make that a bit wider, and it's going to get thinner and thinner and thinner until we get to the end. Can you see it's starting to look like a gecko already? So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to join up his head, his egg shape, to his body. Now next, I'm going to put his legs in. Now for his legs, I'm going to use some ovals. So a nice thin oval, because his legs are quite thin, aren't they? So a nice thin oval there, and then another thin oval coming down. And then he's got 5 toes coming out, okay? There we go. So there's his 5 toes because they're all spread out in the picture. Okay, the next one, this one is coming out sideways a bit more. So I'm going to do first oval there like that. and then a second oval, and then again 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 toes coming out. Now this back one, we could see a little bit of the back leg, so I'm just going to do a little oval and then another little oval so that you can see where that back leg is. Okay? Oh my goodness, look at him now, he's getting there. Now remember, you can pause the video or rewind it and go back to any of these points. Don't feel like you need to keep up with me. So when you're doing one bit, you can pause it and then carry on after. So now we've got the overall shape of our gecko. The next thing is to start putting in his eyes. So it's a little bit like our normal eye shape, this one, because he's sideways. Okay, it looks like that. So you're kind of doing a bit of a pointy oval, okay? Or a lemon shape, let's say a lemon shape. And these stick up. So the other side, you've just got the lump of where his eye is sticking up, okay? Now what I'm going to do is just put a little line above there as well, so you can see that that one is sticking out as well. Now, once we've got everything in the right place, we can now go over and darken up the outside lines. Okay, so I'm going along, darkening it all up. Okay, and I'm going through, going round and doing these outside lines. Okay, so that means I'm not drawing where the shapes overlap. I'm not drawing those bits. I just want the outside bit all drawn. Okay, it means you can thicken up his toes a little bit as well. There we go. So I'm just making them into like sausages. There we go. And then belly, 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 over to his other leg. So again, remember, I'm just doing the outside lines. Okay, and then I'm going to thicken up these toes as well. My little sausages, like that. Okay, all right, and then I'm going to carry that on to the other side of the tail. Okay, and then darken that up. And then that means I can put in this other back leg as well. Just do the outline and ta-da! We have got the outline of a gecko now. Now the next part that we want to do is his lovely pattern that he's got on his skin. Okay, now the first thing that I think of is his tail here. It looks a bit like a snake. Okay, so we need to make it look like a curvy snake. So I'm going to be putting in these curvy, creasy lines. Okay, can you see those? So it's just a curvy line, which then shows that that is a round shape. It's not flat anymore. It shows that it's round, that it makes it 3D. Okay, so I'm putting in these curvy lines just to show that actually that tail is a nice round tail. And then that tail actually, it's almost got darker bits. So I'm going to darken up some of these so that when I come to put my colour on, I know where I'm going to put the darker bits. Okay, it's almost got kind of stripes on it. All right, and then this one here, I'm going to darken that one up and darken that one up, so that one's going to be dark on the inside too. And then this one over here, and then he's got some kind of round bits on there as well. So I'm going to put these in now. So there'll be a round bit here, a round bit here, a round bit here, a round bit here, and here, and here. Okay, and just some lovely little patterns now. Let's do a couple more round bits here. Okay. Oh, look at him, he looks so cute. Now, the next thing is we're going to start these round bits that we were doing down here. They kind of get a bit bigger and a bit more of a blobby shape. So now we're just going to put some blobby shapes on. And what I want you to think about is this, there's a kind of line that comes down here. Okay, and on this side of the line is all the shapes that are on the other side of his body, and on this side of the line are all the shapes that are on this side of the body. Okay, so it just helps us line everything up. So I'm going to put the big blobby bits first, and they almost blob down towards his tummy like that. Okay, let's put another one on. Oh, big blob, blobbing down towards his tummy. And another one. And I'm trying to keep them all slightly different shapes. And another one coming kind of down towards his leg. There we go. And then in between that, you can put the smaller blobs. There you go, like that. And it kind of makes a pattern. So you've got the big blobs and then the smaller blobs. Okay, let's put another one here and another one there. Okay, so let's do, they're going to kind of be matching the other side, but you're only going to see the top of it. Can you see? You're only seeing the top of it. So I'm going to put these bigger blobs and then a littler one and a bigger one and a littler one and a bigger one and a littler one there. There you go. So now we're coming up towards his head, okay? And his head has still got those blobby bits on, but they kind of change pattern a little bit. So I'm going to put a bit under his belly there, okay? And then another blobby bit here. Now, can you see I've not rubbed out any of my lines? They're all still there, but because I did them so light, I don't need to. So I'm putting this blobby bit on. There we go. Right, now on his head, he's kind of got a pattern that goes around towards his eye. So I'm actually going to draw that as a line first, like that. So it's like a curve from his eye around towards his other eye. Okay, and then that's actually a blobby bit. So let's turn that now, make that thicker. And that is a blobby bit of his pattern right there. Okay, and then in between up here, we've got the smaller blobby bits. Okay, so I'm just going to add those in, and it gets smaller and smaller as it kind of gets towards his nose. Bit like if you've got a pet at home, then sometimes my doggie's got that. Got big brown patches on her back, and then smaller patches up towards her head. So then this blobby bit here that went all the way to his eye on one side, it comes out of his eye the other side as well, and then that's going to stretch all the way to his nose. Okay, like that. All right, and then that means there's another bit of a line down here. So imagine this is almost his chin, chinny chin chin bit, and then there's like a blobby line on that bit as well, all the way to his nose. Okay, there we go, look at that. We have got our gecko. Now the last thing that I'm going to do is just kind of darken up his eye a bit. So this is where, if you can either choose and you can just use pencils and you can darken up all the blob bits because they're the darker bits and all the rest is the light bits. Or, so this is the 4B I'm using, which is why it's nice and dark. Or what you can do is use some colour now. Now I've got these here. These are called watercolour brush pens. Okay, you might have felt tips, you might have colouring pencils, you might have pastels, you might have paint. You can use whatever you want, but I'm going to show you using my ones so that you can see how that might look, because some of you might have pens at home, you might have something similar, you might have a set of watercolours or anything that you can use to get that lovely colour on. Now a lot of the gecko is yellow, so the first thing I do is get that yellow on because it is the lightest colour. So I want to make sure that I'm putting the lightest colour on first. Okay, so there we go. And you've kind of got bits of yellow coming up here. And then I don't have to be quite as neat with this lighter colour because I can go over it with the darker colours and not worry. So I'm going to put that yellow all the way down here like that. Now I'm not going to add the water yet to these ones because it will make my paper wet and I want to keep it dry at the moment. So let's put a little bit up here. There we go. So there's all my yellow colour. All right. And the other colour that this gecko's got is more of a pinky colour. So I'm going to get my lightest pink because his feet and his legs are pink. So I'm just putting that pink onto him there. And again, I'm not worrying too much about being super neat. That pink kind of goes up to his head, so a little bit of pink in here. Okay, a little bit of pink here. Pink tummy. And then his pink other leg. Okay. And then there's a little kind of fleck of like a light greeny, turquoisey colour. So let's put a little bit of a greeny colour up here. Okay, and let's see, do I have like a bluey turquoise? Yeah, a little bit here. So just like a shimmer of that on there as well. All right. Now what I do before I do any of my dark patches, I'm going to now get the water. So I've got a paintbrush, the water, and I'm going to just blend those colours in now. Take them all the way to the edge, blend them in. There we go. And this is why I quite like using these and like using watercolours, because they're really, really easy to use and really easy to blend. But you could be using pastels, you could be doing this as just colouring pencils are absolutely fine as well. If you're using colouring pencils, then if you go back to the picture of the gecko, and then you can put the finer details in there. So you can do it bit by bit rather than like I'm doing, where I'm doing all the colours and blending them together. Okay, so now I've got all my colours all blended together, and the next thing that I'd need to do is dry off my my painting, and then the last bit that I need to do is I'd get a dark brown like this one. Let's see if I can do it over here, and I'd just put the dark brown bits on. So I end up with a lovely finished gecko. Now I'd really, if you're using watercolours, this one's okay because I didn't use very much water. It's okay, but if you are using watercolours, do dry off your paper. If you get a grown-up, then they could maybe use a hairdryer, or you can just leave it to dry for 10 or 15 minutes and come back to it to do this bit. Because when it's watery, what can happen is your darker colour can end up going and blending with all the other colours, and then you ruin that effect. You don't get the patches as clearly as you do if you let your paper dry. So make sure that you're letting it dry, or you're getting a grown-up just to give it a quick dry with a hairdryer, and then you are all set and ready to do these final finishing touches. Okay, so felt tips are quite good for maybe doing something like this if you've got felt tips at home, or if you're brave enough doing it like me with the watercolours, or even you might have a different kind of paint that you want to have a go with, and that's fine too. Go for it. These should be very bright and beautiful geckos. I can't wait to see them. I think they're going to look lovely. So you see, because that's quite watery up here, it's not letting me put the darker brown on. There we go. There is my gecko. Okay, and hopefully yours will be super awesome as well. I really hope that you've enjoyed that, and if you need to, then please do go back through the video, and you can pause it at any point and go through and do it a little bit slower than me. I can't wait to see them. All right then, take care, and I'll see you soon. Bye.